bitches. That's what we had to do. Part 3, episode 3. The K swap. Here's our K20A2 engine from our RSX. We're just gonna go over this briefly on some of the items that we installed for just maintenance, for better performance, for better feel, drivability, you know. Through Dax's research, what he felt he wanted to do while we had this engine out for the first time. We're gonna start over with this end of the transmission. These are our little springs that live underneath these 3 bolts. Personally, I have not done the research and I don't know what these control and how they work, but I do know the springs that we put in there you can get from Hybrid Racing. It's just 3 springs, they're all the exact same, and they're a little longer, they're a little stiffer, and supposedly it helps the feel of your shifts. And then we're gonna go over to our shifting assembly here. We've had this out once just to kind of inspect it because there is a known failure item in this. Okay, so this is where your shifters attach. Basically, we have these 2 items, these 2 pieces here is where your shifter cables attach. They live in these holes, and then your cables mount to here. This is the most common failure on these transmissions. Basically, this gear, this item lives inside of here. The main failure is this piece right there. You can see where they're starting to indent on that. It looks like a sector shaft kind of gear. That is what fails all the time. You can get extremely expensive, higher performance ones. We're just gonna install a reasonably cheap OEM one in it. These things are a nightmare to pull apart and put back together. Hopefully in the video when we change this, we might find a method that is better than what we've done so far. And maybe there's a video out there right now. Hopefully somebody has it and knows how you can put these together and pull them apart with ease, because they are not easy to pull apart and put together. Anyways, so we're gonna replace that failure item. Recommend highly. Those 3 springs, and also from Hybrid Racing, just the spring kit that lives inside of our shifting assembly. So that's all of our shifting items that we're gonna address while we have the engine out on this season. While we're still talking about the transmission, basically with the K swap that we're doing, we're reusing the original slave cylinder that is on the K20A2, and we're reusing the clutch master cylinder that comes on the CX hatchback. So you have the clutch cylinder from the CX and you got the slave cylinder from the RSX. Buy the right kit to install your line that goes from the slave cylinder to the master cylinder. Basically, you have a M12 by 1 inverted flare fitting, or female hole right here. And then on your slave cylinder, you have an M10. This is an M10 by 1, which is your thread pitch, metric, also flare fitting. Instead of messing around with different banjo fittings and adapters, just get the right kit, and it saves you a lot of time and pain of digging through fittings and whatnot, or drilling out threads and retapping. We've seen tons of different videos of basically what we ordered was this, what we thought was the right line for our K swap, but it comes with 2 banjo bolts. 2 banjo bolts. Technically, yes, a banjo bolt can seal, and this one may have worked for the M10 by 1 thread, because it has a very large area here that would allow a crush washer to seal. But then to try and get this banjo bolt into that, because it's M12, I mean, if this came with one size M12, one size M10, then sure, would have been nice, but it didn't. And to try and get from this M10 to an M12 with fittings from the local stores, just no, not fun. Not gonna do it. We're gonna spend the $150 or whatever it was for the kit. It just comes with 2 flare fittings that fit perfectly into the pieces. Can't wait to show you that. It's gonna feel really good installing it. And I just wanna make this clear, what we believe to be this issue, 1998 to 2000, because this is a 2000, we are working with 2000, that's why it has an M12 by 1 thread, we believe. So if your frame is pre-1999, so 1998 and below, the clutch master cylinder, we believe, does have M10 10x1 threads, which in that case, the 2 banjo fittings are M10x1 and they would seal and they would work. Just if you have a 99 or a 2000 hatchback, you got M12x1. Keep that in mind. Since it seems like we've turned episode 3, part 3 into a transmission, I'm just gonna finish off with when you're doing your transmission fluid swap or flush swap. I'm gonna swap my transmission fluid for some more transmission fluid. Always use the Honda manual transmission fluid in these Honda manual transmissions. Please and thank you. It is required and you can only get it at Honda. This will be the end of our episode 3, part 3, as we kind of changed it into just a transmission maintenance K-swap tips. So yeah, those items with the manual transmission on your K-swap, we recommend you do. And keep on Netfix and building. Thank you for watching episode 3, part 3 of the K-swap with our manual transmission. Dax doesn't want to film this right now, but we're going to film it anyways. We didn't know what to do about our transmission cables, so basically we found the direct route. Turns out you need to make sure that you can fandangle your cables so that they're basically the right length when you're done. These are the RSX shifter cables and the shifter from the RSX. They do make a kit that you remove your heater core and your shifter cables come out where your heater core comes in and out. Awesome if you don't drive your car in the winter. But Dax, for some reason, wants to drive the swap in the winter. So we need to have our heater hoses operating. So anyways, we drilled a giant ass hole right behind our gas pedal, or right beside our gas pedal, which is a direct route. But we're thinking they might be a little long. They might be a little long, but we'll be able to figure that out. And in our future videos, again, keep watching because we're gonna figure out what we do on this situation. Let's just go inside the vehicle and I'm gonna show you the shifter assembly. What else do we do? All right, so now that we're in the vehicle here, this is the shifter assembly out of the RSX. You do need to buy a little kit. It has this big billet piece of aluminum that mounts to the frame, and it does come with new bushings for how the plastic assembly mounts, because right now with the old ones it just comes right out of those. So we're gonna figure out how that works. The biggest issue with this is the cable length, obviously, so we have considered potentially moving this back if we have. In future episodes we'll show you what we do there, and we had to cut about 4 inches off of our shifter. 4 inches at least, I think. Basically I cut it right here and then I cut where it comes up like this, and the shifter from the RSX just doesn't, it hits your dash right here. So I cut off this much. It's just a custom short shift now. We just go straight from 1st to 6th because it's a K-swap. No need for 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Oh, this thing doesn't have 6 gears. Don't know if we're supposed to be telling you this, but we are. This giant piece of aluminum billet block. It's just a billet block with 4 holes in it. It's available at AliExpress.